the report does a big review of all kind of the municipal water systems. You know, they're tested regularly by DEQ, and lead in water is not an issue in naturally occurring in Battle Creek. It might occur with the lead service lines from the municipal water system to the home, and people who have private wells and have older homes might want to get those tested. I think Paul's going to talk about that. But our first goal is to provide local agencies with quarterly outcome data related to child testing, lead hazards in the home, intervention activities, and then to produce an annual report that evaluates strategies and communicates progress. We want to be data-driven. In the back of the report, there's lots of maps that show where the older housing is, where the testing's occurring, so that we know where to target our efforts. You know, we're targeting at a little bit over 10,000 kids that are under age 6 in Calhoun County. And so we want to just make sure that we're data-driven. We're committed to increasing the numbers tested and to increasing remediation. I passed out a application for the state. There's a state healthy homes program that families can apply for. We had Tina Reynolds, who works for the Michigan Environmental Council, come meet with the task force last month, and she said that only about 50% of the applications that are submitted are actually funded because families don't fill them out completely, or there's some eligibility issue. So the city of Battle Creek, we have a minor home repair program, and we're looking to see how we can partner our minor home repair program with the state's lead program so that families could spend more money to remediate their windows and the lead hazards in their home. So that's one of the things. So goal 2 is develop capacity countywide to conduct lead assessments on all properties suspected of being a source of exposure for a child with EBL. And that is giving more tools to those public health nurses. Because right now that public health nurses, they go out and they do education. If the family says you can come out and do an assessment, it's a visual assessment, but it's not a real lead assessment. So they have to actually apply to the state to get, it's a $750 value to get a professional to come out and take samples of the soil and of the windows. So developing capacity in our county, both in the city of Battle Creek and countywide, is one of the things we need to look at. It would need more funding for us to do it in-house, but it's the right thing to do with these families to help them crack the nut of where's the exposure coming from. So the other thing is, goal 3 is to increase the level of proactive lead hazard reduction activities by improving the capacity and willingness of housing stakeholders to address risk posed by lead sources in homes and in the environment. And here it's about education. It's the education of the families so that they can keep their homes clean, so they can know that windows need to be cleaned regularly, and if there's any kind of dust chips or dust, and if they're sanding their home on the outside, they really should put plastic down and get those chips so that that soil doesn't become contaminated for the rest of history, because lead never disappears when it's in the soil. And so someone who scraped an old house 10 years ago, that lead's still in the ground. And I know 10 years ago I bought a house that was built in 1970, and the home inspector said, don't grow tomatoes around your house because you have an older home. So people shouldn't garden around. And we, so there's this whole, how we're going to educate. We'd like to educate, like the Early Childhood Connections has family coaches that go into the home. We have code and compliance that go into homes and do rental inspections. And can we train some of our staff to go out to be more aware about, whoa, you've got some peeling paint there, that's a hazard for your kids, and maybe giving out the brochures and being more proactive. And landlords, if they're doing their own work, they should be certified as rehab, repair and painting. It's the RRP certification that all contractors should have, but we're not sure that they do. So making sure that contractors are aware of the requirements to be tested, and that even landlords, if they're doing their own repairs, need to be certified so that they know what the lead hazards are. Jim talked about repeat poisonings, and that's one thing we're really concerned about and want to create a way of catching, is if one rental house, a family lives in it for a year or two, kids get poisoned, then another family comes in, you know, because the houses that are in the worst condition, the poorest families are living in. And they're the young kids, and they need to be protected. And But people just don't know, they just don't realize. So we want to be more proactive about the education. And goal 4 is to work with local governments in the state of Michigan to strengthen the regulatory framework for regarding lead hazards. So we want to create a lead tools quick guide that requires notification, that lets people know about what resources there are. Our minor home repair program, the state's lead program, if we use grant funding to expand the remediation that we can do, we could reach more kids and more families. So Tina Reynolds, there's a lead alliance on the state from Detroit and Flint, and being more active on the state level and learning about and being part of getting more state resources so that we can be more proactive with landlords.